strong, empowered, authentic.
What's up, Ginger Nation? This is Tosh.
This is Darin, and you are listening to the Authentic
Ginger Podcast. Welcome to the Authentic Ginger Podcast. I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Darin Roche, and today we're going to talk about me. We're going to talk about, why not? It's been a while, and I thought I would come on today. I know I talked to you about this over the weekend, but I thought I'd come on today and talk about sort of the rebrand that we did, and that's not about me. It's actually about the entire brand. In fact, we've even changed our web address. I managed to score authenticginger.com about 2 years ago, and I kept it going because the other version I had was authenticgingerclothing.com. So we're kind of not moving away from the clothing because that's a part of it, but for the title, we're just moving away from that as a web address, make it a little bit easier for people to find us with authenticginger.com. So if you haven't gone and checked out the new site, please go and do that. Brand new logo, brand new site colors. Oddly enough, we went with a green, which
very odd. Yes.
Enough, yeah, very odd. Funny, we didn't have it in our last one. Anyway, you'll see that. You'll see some new colors. But what you're also going to see is the fact that we're really kind of putting our stamp on community. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So in our logo right now, and in fact, before we go into the community piece, I wanted to kind of give you a description of how our designer, Brad Felt is a designer from a company called Creative Juices, out of Victoria, I think, or somewhere over there on the West Coast in BC. I just can't exactly remember. Sorry, Brad. But anyways, Brad was our designer, and we hired this team to help us with the website and with the logo design. And so we had several logos that actually you've seen all of them, in the early stages of us kind of coming up to the final logo that we decided to go with. And the logo on the website is the one we decided with, and it's kind of has, as Brad explains, it kind of has a retro vibe to it. It's synonymous with other similar venue sort of companies that are out there. So I wanted a logo that kind of fit within a range of other logos, really popular brands, because sometimes when people look at the logo, they'll say, "Oh, I recognize that logo from somewhere," and that's what I want. That's what I wanted to have, is that logo that people are like, "I've seen that somewhere." They just kind of start to think about what that recognition is. So Brad did very well at that. There's a script text that's kind of flowing like hair. So the Authentic Ginger piece is kind of, was the vision behind that was, flowing sort of hair. I know it doesn't have it look like that, but it kind of actually is once. As a designer, this is what you're seeing, right? I'm not a designer, so I'm just reading going, oh, yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah, I see it. I definitely see it.
No, I'm looking at it right now, and I see it for sure.
So it's there. And so nonetheless, we went with clothier plus community plus clothier plus community. So the idea behind the pluses is that it just keeps going around in a circle. So our vision is to create an atmosphere of community within Authentic Ginger. And people will say, well, what does community mean? Well, community means exactly what you and I are doing, Tosh. That's one piece of it. So we're talking to the world about the redhead culture. We're trying to build a community here within the podcast. We're trying to build community on the website by coming and checking us out and getting inspiration. Perhaps there's a new blog site that's coming down the road. And perhaps there's other things that are going to continue to create community with Authentic Ginger, but we had to have that logo to start, and so we're really happy with how it is. And you'll notice that there's not the clothing that you had, or that I had on the website prior to this new rebrand. You'll notice that they're gone. There's no more of that clothing. All those designs have been, I say, shelved for now, because we're not selling them anymore. We decided to go with all new designs, and it turned out that the designs that we're going with are a lot of the designs that Brad designed for the actual logo of the company.
I like it. I think it's a classy look. It just seems to me like this is a logo that's timeless.
100%. And the other piece too that I wanted to bring to the table today was we've started a youth program. And again, this goes back to community. Now, this youth program, it's started. It's not necessarily promoted yet, but what it is we've decided that we needed something that we can give back. And one of the ways that Sheva and I both, my wife, are both interested in is making sure that kids have food on their plates, for when they're in school. And one of the ways we thought we could kind of give back to the community, whether it's our community, whether it's a community in the rest of Canada or a community in the States or anywhere worldwide. We haven't really quite nailed down how that's going to work yet, but the idea that we're coming up with for our youth program is that for every youth shirt bought, we will take 50% of those profits and donate them to a school for the purpose of feeding kids that are unfortunate enough sometimes have to come to school without food, from home. And so we wanted to set this program up to give back and to and it was our way of saying, how do we introduce ourselves to the school without kind of pinpointing, 4 or 5 redheads in the entire school. And this was a way that we could incorporate everybody, not just redheads. So it's an inclusive project for the school programs, for lunch programs. I'm not sure if but there's a lot of kids that just, they just don't have lunches, or they don't have snacks, or, they just can't afford, the families can't afford to, to feed them. So the schools, gracious, I can't say the word, the school comes together and helps feed the kids. So we're adding to that by using this program as a way to just sort of create that culture and community.
That's incredible. Now, how are you going to go about picking the schools? Do you know yet?
We haven't. And what we're going to do to kind of sort of get down to that point is work with organizations that are already building programs within schools. So there's Canadian organizations. Locally here we have Nourish Your Roots, which is a program that works with is an umbrella, I guess, organization under a head organization that covers all of Canada into each province has, or each community has, their own kind of an organization that is helping build these programs and put, whether it's kitchens in schools or whether it's salad bars or whatever else. So we're going to team up with those organizations and find out, I don't think there's going to be any criteria as to, does this school need it more? Because every school needs it. I think it just becomes a matter of, let's find out all the schools that are involved in these programs and let's just pick one. And we'll do the same for the U.S. as well. In the U.S., one of our shirts, if someone is going to buy into this program a kid's shirt, we can feed 3 kids with those donations. So it's just going to be more of a selection process on how we do it. It's not going to be anything more than a random draw, to be honest with you.
Kids need to be fed. It has to happen. So I think that's such a great cause. It's a brilliant move.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're excited about it. We're excited to launch it officially. I don't have a date yet, so you'll have to stay tuned for the date. But yeah, that's so this is, and the website too. So the overall website has changed, and everything about the brand is kind of really focusing in on community. So we're really excited about that. I won't spend more time on it, just because I just wanted to come on to talk about that. But I also want to talk about, since we are a redhead show, there are a couple of things that and we haven't done this for a while, Tosh. I mean, it's been a little bit since we've had, it's been a minute since we've had one of these conversations around some redhead, not news, but redhead information,
Oh, yeah?
I guess it is news. Yeah, I guess we can call it news. So I was poking around the internet over the weekend and I came across this, I don't know what it was, a U.S. cheese championship, cheese, like cheese,
okay. Cool.
Right?
Perfect.
You love cheese, right?
I am a cheese eater. Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Wait a second. Are you can you live without cheese?
Yes.
You could live without cheese.
I could live without cheese. It would be hard, but but I could do it. Dietary reasons, I can't eat an awful lot of cheese. It hurts me. It hurts me.
That's not good. Yeah, we can't have that.
But I do miss it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't go into a small room with Tosh when she's had cheese. Probably not a good idea.
Nobody's coming out alive.
Nobody's going to live. Love it. So is your favorite, would you say your favorite is Gouda? That's my new favorite right now, Gouda cheese.
Gouda is good cheese, but no, I
Yeah.
think brie. I think I'd go brie. I
Oh,
love brie.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Yeah.
Well, funny enough, the U.S. champion of cheese was an aged Gouda. The Gouda was named Europa from Arethusa Farm Dairy in Bantam, Connecticut. I don't really care about that. What I care about, what I care about is one of the runner-ups. So one of the runner-ups was called, let's see, the cheese was called a natural rinded cheddar. The cheese name was called Lucky Linda Cloth Bound Cheddar. Okay, so Class 8 was a natural rinded cheddar, so that's what the focus was on. And this company, their cheese name was Lucky Linda Cloth Bound Cheddar, I guess is how you say it. The maker, check this out, was Redhead Creamery out of
Oh.
Bruton, Minnesota. There's several companies out there that put Redhead in their name and has nothing to do with redheads whatsoever, i.e., what's that fishing place? Bass Pro Shops. Well, I mean, yeah, they're talking about a duck who has red hair, so they have redhead clothing. There's a bunch of others that have redhead in their name, but they absolutely mean nothing about redheads. This company, go to their website, check them out. They're called Redhead Creamery, and the lady who owns this shop, she's young, so I think she's like a young entrepreneur, and I hope I have that right because hopefully I can get her on the show here. Curly red hair, it's brilliant, just absolutely
bright,
brilliant
yeah.
move. It's bright, and she's full of energy. She has this farm that caught my attention to the point where I want to have her on the show. So if anyone's listening knows anybody at the Redhead Creamery in Minnesota, because we do have some friends in Minnesota, that would be really good to know. And if not, I'm going to work my magic to see if I can get her on the show here. Maybe she can send us some cheese before she comes on the show, so we can kind of have like a cheese taste test online, first time podcast, right? Let's do that. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking about right now. So here's another thing too, Tosh. I was last week. I made a very quick post about an article that I read on National Geographic from the UK. Redheads aren't going extinct. Now, I know it's not something we've had this debacle, and it's not really a debacle, but we've had people come on and say they're not going extinct, or they are. I mean, they being human redheads. I mean, call you us, or yeah. So people come to me on a regular basis and say, our redhead's gonna die soon. And I had this really one character who I had a conversation with who thinks that redheads are really going to be going extinct real soon. Not a chance. Now,
No.
this person, I'm gonna have to say her name correctly. Katerina Zarina Lycan Walter. She's a postdoctoral fellow at the Institute of Behavioral Genetics at the University of Colorado in Boulder. That's a big title to say, man. I couldn't even say that. I'm not going to try it one more time. I'm just going to leave it there. So Katerina, she's not a redhead. I found that out. I'm looking to get her contact information, which I do have now, because I like to have her on the show to talk to us about her findings. And what's so interesting about this topic, and it's always interesting, is the fact that there's so many people out there in the world that think because there's only 2% of the redhead population is the world, that eventually we're going to have to die off. Well, it's not the case, and one of the cases I wanted to read, MC1R, which is the recessive gene, is king when it comes to redheadedness or redheads. Zarina Lycan-Walter says it has a tremendous amount of say in whether we'll have dark pigmentation or light pigmentation. So more than 4/5 of redheads carry MC1R, whereas the remaining reds are caused by other genes. Now, I really want people to go read this, and I really want them to go read this because this article, and it's very scientific, so it reads scientific, but it does come from National Geographic, so it's credible. It's totally credible. If we can get her on the show, I think it'd be a really good base for you to understand what she sees and what she's researched over the years. Like, here's another one. The MC1R, it's a trait. This is another quote from the article. It's a trait that dates to prehistory. So analysis of 50,000-year-old DNA. Now, this is the first time I've heard this. 50,000-year-old DNA revealed that some Neanderthals were pale-complected redheads. So I think we kind of knew that, but the 50,000 3,800-year-old DNA. I mean, that's pretty insane. Another famous 3,800-year-old Bronze Age mummy, known as the Beauty of Lulan, was unearthed from a desert cemetery in northwestern China with intact sepia hair or colored hair. So there's China back in the mix again. So we, I think one of our first few episodes we talked about red hair and where it comes from, and I still think, and to this day, I'm going to stake my stake in the ground and say it started in China, it started somewhere in Asia, and we're starting to see some. I guess we're starting to see the unearthing of where redheads come from. So the point of this whole conversation of this article. Read the article. It tells you that redheads are not going to disappear, because if they were to disappear, everyone who has the gene has to die, and no more babies can be born.
Right.
The reason why the word got out that redheads were going extinct was for financial gain. So there were people. You have to read the article. I can't quote it exactly, but there were people out there in the world who were claiming that redheads were going extinct because they were getting paid to produce these stories, and just it was false. There was no pretense. Yeah, there was people making money off of redheads going extinct as the headline. So again, it's in this article. You have to have a read. It's
what's the gain?
Well, I mean, let's write an article that says redheads are going extinct and here's why. And how many people in the world? It's really interesting to like who would care enough about the redhead culture, not a redhead, to say that redheads are going extinct.
Yeah, that's so weird.
They're
probably just trying to off us because they're jealous of us. Don't be jealous.
That's probably exactly what it is. Yeah.
Don't be jealous. I actually had a really cool experience this past weekend. We hosted a basketball tournament for my oldest daughters. So U11 basketball. So these girls are all 9 and 10 years old. And I was working the popcorn machine, and these two young gals came out from the other team. And while I was bagging their popcorn, the one girl said to me, every time I see you, because we play them often, every time I see you, I just want to tell you that I love your hair. And I was like, wow, that is like, first of all,
really?
Kids don't talk like that. That's no. So like, that's really cool. But the little girl she was with is also a redhead, and I've never seen this color red before.
Really?
And she has like she doesn't have ginger skin. She and her sister and her brother, they all have the same color red. Yep. But they're not quite tanned, but they're not pale either. And anyway, I said to her, I love having red hair. And I looked at the other girl and I said, and do you? And she goes, I love my hair so much. And I was like, little kids don't say they love having red hair. You don't love it till you're an adult, right? And she's like, I love being a redhead. And I was like,
you're having a conversation with kids.
With 10-year-olds.
Red hair.
Yeah. They might even be 9. I don't know. But I was like.
And you just turned into a 10-year-old in that minute. And like, yeah, you're right. Me too. Like, this is awesome.
Because there's no way at 10 years old was anybody complimenting this red hair. I'll tell you that.
No, that's right.
So it was pretty cool. And it was a nice moment as a redhead to see another redhead say she loved being a redhead.
At that age, that's awesome. It's amazing. Yeah. Just goes to show you where we're at these days over here,
exactly.
in North America. So
yeah, things are changing.
Thank you to everyone who's supporting us at Authentic Ginger. Thank you everyone who's listening to our show. We're banking up some guests here for you guys too. So keep an eye on what's happening and what's coming, and we're kind of excited for the future here. So Tosh, you're part of that. So I appreciate that all more than you know. And this has been fun. I'm glad that we had a chance to get back to just you and I for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it's probably been more than a month.
I think so.
Yeah, we'll not talk about that. Okay, we'll see you guys next time on the show whenever we can get our act together and get another one out for you.
Take care. Have a good day, everybody. You've been listening to the Authentic Ginger Podcast.
Become a part of the Ginger Nation by liking, subscribing, following, and leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This podcast was produced by Tosh Taylor of the Podcast Hub Productions. Find her online at podcasthub.ca.